Hello everyone, this is the video homework for the evening of 8:23 and 8:24. We're going to be talking about doing constructions using your ruler as a compass and measurement. We're going to be talking specifically about reading in inches, reading in centimeters, and then how to construct a perpendicular bisector. When I see you in class on Friday, we will be doing this in class at the beginning of class. So practice this a few times. That's what your warm-up will be. So when you walk into the door, I'll give you a piece of paper and say construct a perpendicular bisector, and that's what you're going to do. When we look at our ruler, on the inches side, we see that we can divide our inch into a number of different measurements. We have the 1 full inch, we have the 1/2 inch, the 1/4 inch, the 1/8, and the 1/16. So when I'm asking you to measure a segment, you need to be able to go to the nearest 1/16 of an inch. Sometimes that will be real easy to see, and other times it won't. For example, let's make a random line. It's a line segment. If we are going to measure this, we set our 0 at one end of the line and then look at the other end of the line and see where we line up. There we are. So this is 3. The little ones are 1/16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 16ths. This is 3 and 5/16 inches. Let's try another one. Go longer this time. Make sure you're setting your 0 at the end of the line and be as precise as possible. When I get to the end of my line, I'm just going to kind of make a little hashy, and that helps me find out where I am. Again, we wind up on the 16th. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches, and so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13/16. The double slash means inches. Let's try and measure a line that is 2 3/4 inches. Measure a segment that is 2 3/4 inches. We start at 0. We know we want to go to 2 3/4, which will be here, and we will construct our line. There you go, 2 3/4 inches. Why is it 3/4? Because I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Let's make a segment that is 4 1/8 inches. I want to mark where I begin. Here's 4. That's a 1/16. This is the 1/8. And then I'm going to very carefully begin at 0 and end right there. So now I have 4 1/8 inches. When you flip your ruler over to the other side, you have centimeters. And of course the centimeters are going to work the same way, except instead of writing our answers as fractions, we write them as decimals. So I line up my 0. I line up where the end of my line is, make a little mark. I am at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 centimeters. 6.5 centimeters. Let's try another segment of a random distance. If I start here, now I'm going to be in a different place. I don't wind up at that 1/2. I have to be a little more critical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1/2 is 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. I am at 6.7 centimeters. What if I wanted to make a segment that was 3.3 centimeters long? I would start at 0, make a mark. I would go to 3.3, 1, 2, 3, and then connect the end points of my segment. just like so, 3.3 centimeters. This is what we'll be doing in class also next class. We'll be going over using your ruler again. We want to be very precise with our measurements. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to construct a perpendicular bisector. This is something you have never done before. It's not bad, it's not hard, it's a little complex, so make sure you watch this section of the video multiple times. You don't have to use graph paper. I just like using graph paper when I do my constructions. I'm going to start by drawing a simple segment. Not too long, not too short. You don't want it to go all the way across the paper, that makes things difficult. You don't want it to be super tiny, that also makes things difficult. What we're going to do is we're going to use our ruler as a compass. So over on the left side, I'm going to set the center of my compass right at the end of my segment. Remember how we made the dots in class so that we remembered where we were. Then I'm going to put my finger down. Look at how long my segment is. It looks like it's 2.5 inches. I need to go more than halfway, but not all the way to the end. So let's see, if I go 1 inch, that's too short. If I go 2 inches, that'll work really well because it's further than halfway. I'm going to hold my ruler down strongly, put my pencil in at the 2-inch mark, go up and go down and stop. Remind yourself that you were at the 2-inch mark. That's going to be important. I'm going to do the same exact thing from the right side of my construction. I'm going to line up the center of my rotation right there. Make sure I know where it is. This is where it gets tricky. I might have to go left-handed. So I could keep the ruler as it is here, put my pen in at 2 inches, and draw my arc. I'm not left-handed, and I find that to be very difficult, so I'm just going to flip my paper over. It makes my life a lot easier. So I'm going to find that end point, hold it down nice and strong with my left hand, put my pen in at the 2-inch mark, up and down. Now I'm going to connect my points of intersection. I've done two things. I've created a right angle, and I've created two segments. Here's segment A, and here's segment B, and they are congruent. A is congruent to B. Let's do that one more time so that we can practice together, and then you need to practice a little bit on your own. So the first thing we did was what? We made some sort of segment. It doesn't have to be a specific length. You can make it a specific length if it makes you happy. We're going to line up the center dot over here. Oops, I need to do this so you can see it. So I'm going to line up the center dot right there. You'll see that my segment is 2 inches long. 1 inch would be halfway. I need to go further than halfway. So further than halfway, let's go 1¼ inches. How do I know that's a quarter? Because I have 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, 4/16. 4/16 is a quarter, that's more than halfway. I'm going to make my arc up, I'm going to make my arc down, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to try and be nifty this time. I'm going to try and do it left-handed. Do you remember how long you made your arc? That's super important. How long did we make our arc? It was 1¼ inches. So that means from the other end point, I have to use the same distance. Line up so that I'm at centered. I need to use the 1¼ inch. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4/16. 1¼ go up, go down. That feels really weird because I'm using my left hand. And connect your points of intersection. I have created a right angle with segments A and B congruent. Here's A and here's B. A is congruent to B. This is called, now I've said it 3 times, what is this called? It starts with a P and a B. We just created a perpendicular. Do you know the other word now? Bisector. We've created a perpendicular bisector. When I see you in class on Friday, I'm going to hand you a full-size sheet of paper and you are going to construct a perpendicular bisector. If you have any questions, remember that you can give me a call or you can send me an email. Have a great evening.